Welcome to Beauty and the Biz. Discover how to grow your practice with effective cosmetic patient attraction, conversion, and retention advice from author, speaker, trainer, and cosmetic practice business and marketing coach, Catherine Maley, MBA.
Hello and welcome to Beauty and the Biz, where we talk about the business and marketing side of cosmetic practices. I'm your host, Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, as well as consultant to cosmetic practices to get them more patients and more profits. So today's episode is called Hiring the Right Coordinator is a Game Changer. So here's what ends up happening. I'm often consulting with a practice, or a surgeon calls me and you can hear they're hesitant about describing the coordinator when I mention, so how are your conversion rates? And I can hear the hemming and the hawing. So let me just back up by saying, if you're already at that stage, listen to this podcast because I'm going to show you how to get a great coordinator, because a really great coordinator is truly a game changer. They can turn things around in 1 to 3 months. They can make your life so much easier because you've got this piece of your practice handled. Actually, when you see their results, you get a renewed passion for practicing, and then you're just more excited to go to work because you're not just doing consults all day that are going nowhere. You're actually working together as a team to convert these consultations to paid procedures, because that's what counts. I mean, nothing else counts. Nothing else counts until a patient says yes and gives you a credit card. So what you're looking for in a great coordinator is peace of mind that they're going to keep you busy and they're going to keep you profitable. Because here's the downside. When you hire the wrong coordinator, or somehow, this is what often happens, you have a coordinator and she quits for whatever reason, she leaves. And all you do is you get anxious and you need to fill that position. So you often just grab the first person you see, or you just go ahead and promote the next person up, like the receptionist who has no clue what they're doing. And nor should they be in that job, nor do they want that job. So what happens now is you've got a mishire. And by the way, the statistics show that mishires cost you something like 25 times their base compensation, just because of all the wasted time that goes into that. God forbid, the bad mojo in the office when nobody's happy now, the drama that ensues because you've got maybe the right people on the bus, but you've got them in the wrong seats, or maybe they shouldn't be on the bus at all. So no one's being as productive as they need to be. So how do you know is the big question. How do you know if you've got the right coordinator? And I'll tell you, everybody says the same thing. I have a feeling that it's not right. We all have that gut feeling, but why don't we listen to it? Or we listen to it, we hear it, but we don't listen. We don't act on it. But here are a couple other signs. There's just a lot of bad energy going on in the practice, and it all seems to be coming from the coordinator. Not all, but most of it's coming from the coordinator. Or you're hearing staff complaints about the coordinator, and you're hearing them, but you're not acting on them or following up with them. Or maybe you are talking to the coordinator. So let's say you had a talk with your coordinator and she's explaining to you all the excuses of why she can't do her job correctly, or the patients are awful, or the patient leads are awful, or you're not doing enough marketing, and it goes on and on. She takes zero responsibility for her lack of results, and that's always a good indication that something's off. Also, if you've got a coordinator who's super moody and you're walking on eggshells, for heaven's sakes, she has to go immediately. You're running the show, and nobody needs to be walking around eggshells on a staff person, period. Or the worst one is they're super friendly and they're happy, they're friendly, but they're completely ineffective. And that's even more dangerous because they sideswipe you more or less. They're so easy to be with and they're fun to be around that you don't realize, yes, but what else are they doing? Are they actually able to do the job that they're paid to do? So here's my advice. You really want to handle this because it's a game changer when you do. And if you need my motivation to do that, I'm happy to help. But reposition that person in the coordinator position, Or if you have to, free them. Free them, not fire them, just free them to go work somewhere else where their assets are more needed than here. But don't wait any longer, because I find the longer you wait, it just gets worse in the practice. It brings everybody down, and it's just not fun to go to a practice where you know something's wrong, but you're not taking care of it. So please go ahead and take care of it. So here's what I'm going to do to help you out and inspire you to handle it. I'm going to give you the steps to hiring rock stars. And I happen to be very good at this. I seem to have a little knack for this. I have a key staff person here, and she and I go to great lengths to find rock stars. So this is how we do it. I'm giving you a lot of the steps. I'm leaving out some only because it'll get too long, but I'm giving you you literally could take these steps and run with them. But please, if you need help with this, give me a call and we'll help you with this. So here's step number 1. You've got to get really clear, what do you want? And a lot of you don't realize how important this is, but you can't have what you can't ask for. So you want to be real clear. What is it you want from this person? So here's an exercise to help. If you've ever had a killer patient care coordinator, who was that person and what made them so great? Now write down those characteristics, what they did, the tasks they did, what they did for the practice, what they did for you, and what they brought to the table. Now, if you've never had a great coordinator, no problem. Just envision the perfect one and who would they be? And same thing, what would they do for you? How would the practice be better with them? What characteristics do they have that would help you? So here's the spin. You're not hiring you, because that's what we have a tendency to do. We want to hire ourselves. Like when we really, bond with somebody because we have the same personality, that's not what we're looking for here. We need somebody who probably has a different personality than you. And I'm just going to generalize. For example, you're probably more introverted and more private, whereas we need the coordinator to be completely different than that. We need them to be open and transparent and friendly, and you really get to the core of things. So you're not hiring you, you're hiring what you need in that position. By the way, character attributes are always, always more important than any special educational background, any degrees they have, any work experience they have. You're much more interested in their character. You can always easily train for the other stuff. You cannot train character. Okay, and I don't know if you've ever written Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. He goes into a lot about that. And isn't that the truth? You can't hire character. You can't train it. It's got to be within somebody. And here's a typical example. You want somebody that has killer customer service skills, and somebody with character just innately has that. They also have integrity. They also have honesty. I really like the honesty, the work ethic, the initiative, that kind of stuff. You can't train that. It's got to come from within. So you're trying to find those character attributes during this process. So here's the next thing you've got to do. Figure out, what are you willing to pay? And this is where I see it go both ways. You either overpay on the hire, and now you're pissed off because you're paying them too much and they're not doing enough for you, or you underpay and then you get, the mediocre because you're not going to pay them enough. So what I would do is you have to know your neighborhood. I would go to glassdoor.com and see what your area pays. I would talk to the vendors. I would actually talk to the applicants too, find out what they're paid now. But you just never want to overpay on hire. Really good people who are confident in their abilities are more than happy to be paid on future productivity as well. And they're also very interested in other perks, such as personal time off, or vacation days, or sick days, or dental, or health, or injectables at cost. A lot of us get into this industry because we want the free services. So throw those in because that's easy. Take them to medical conferences, do fun team events. They're oftentimes looking for more than just money. They're looking for a great opportunity where they can grow and where they can flourish in a really great environment. But they've got to know your why, and that's what gives them clarity about what you are looking for. So that's your vision and your values. And I've talked about this before, but it's so important. You have to figure out what are your core values because you want to hire those core values. And I'm just generalizing. I don't know you, so you have to find your own core values. But here are some examples. You really value integrity, profitability, patient safety, superior customer service. And I mean superior. You realize you want to play the 5-star game. You're not in the 3-star game. So superior customer service. You value excellence and teamwork. You really get excited about enhancing people's lives and transforming lives. You value anticipating needs of the patients. So you're always one step ahead of them. You have a desire to learn and grow. Maybe you just want to crush the competition. You really want someone hungry like you to really be the best. You want to make sure they understand that because they have to be aligned with your core values. And by the way, if you don't have a mission statement that you live by for your practice, I highly recommend you and your team get together and make one up. I'll just throw one out here for you that gives you an idea. But here's one. Our mission at Best Cosmetic Surgery is to help you discover your true beauty. Our friendly staff is as committed as the surgeon himself to making your experience with us as rewarding and enjoyable as possible. We start every day with the expectation that we will delight you with superior personal service in a friendly and relaxed environment. And all I'm saying is when you have something like this and you add that to your process here, you're going to get applicants who resonate with that. And they're hearing you loud and clear. Oh, you need somebody's friendly, someone's committed. They're all about superior personal service. They get that, and that's who will be attracted. Because now it's time to write the ad. And the ads that I see on Indeed are pathetic. You really need to write a killer ad just like you would write ad copy. It's got to be, it has to attract the right person and detract the wrong people. And by the way, the ads I write, and I'll give you an example of one here, my ads are fairly long and I usually get complaints. And somebody will write back and say, you want all that for that kind of money? And I like that because that means the mediocre people are offended by the ad, but the killer overachievers love the growth and the challenge of that ad. So I hope you hear me on that one. So I'll just give you a brief part of the ad that I would write. Plastic surgery patient care coordinator / high-end boutique practice. Are you confident, friendly, caring, reliable, and resourceful? Do you have empathy and the ability to connect easily with others? Do you have a great work ethic, a positive attitude, exceptional people and communication skills? Do you love a challenge and working together as a team to be the best? If so, keep reading. We're looking for a full-time Uber patient care coordinator to join our team. Our plastic surgeon is highly acclaimed, respected, and well-known in the community as well as the medical industry. This is a high-end plastic surgery practice with an exceptional reputation for quality results and impeccable 5-star customer service. Our surgeon has performed more than 8,000 surgical procedures in the past 15 years and is ready to take his practice to the next level, so we need a consult converting rock star. Here's a short list of what is expected from you in this position. And then you just write out what is expected. For example, act as the aesthetic advisor to help the prospective patient comfortably go through their surgical journey. Promote the surgeon strategically as the best choice. Increase consultation conversion rates by 30%. Do you see how specific that is? Follow up via phone, email, and text with those who did not convert to a procedure. Assist in marketing efforts to attract more patients. Deliver weekly progress reports with stats. And then it goes on, but there's another section called the responsibilities of the coordinator. You have to be so specific in today's world of what your expectations are. So there's no question down the road, well, I didn't know that's what you wanted me to do. So you just have another little list. The responsibilities of the coordinator include converting consultations to a yes, collection of all surgical fees, reporting of insurance reimbursements and outstanding balance requests, learning our practice management system, schedule all pre- and post-op appointments, schedule surgeries, prepare all preoperative information and assist with answering phone lines, especially if you have heavy phones. They have to know that they have to jump in or pitch in when the team needs them. And then there's more, but then I'll just go down to the bottom. Then I'm very clear about a coordinator in today's world has to be a quick learner, well-rounded, and tech savvy. So I always add that by saying you must pick up quickly on technologies such as Microsoft Office Suite, CRM. A CRM is a customer relationship management platform. So they've got to be really comfortable with Nextech or Salesforce or Patient Now or some kind of platform that wouldn't scare them. Social media and other technologies added to the practice to streamline processes. Now, this is a full-time position. Sound good? If so, here's the next step. And this is where I add a gate. I need them to jump over some hoops to make sure that they're, number one, detail-oriented, and number two, they've got the tenacity to go through our steps because they really want the job. We don't want the person who's just answering every ad flippantly. We want the person who really looks at this ad and says, whoa, they're looking for a hot shot, and that's me. So I ask them to provide a 100 to 200 word description about why this position appeals to them. And if they don't include that, it's not a game changer yet. Like it's not a deal breaker yet. It depends on what else, but usually that I need that because if they didn't do that, that means they either didn't read the whole ad or they just didn't bother doing it. Now for the salary, depending on where you're at, it could be, and I'm just talking about the United States right now, it could be somewhere between 35 to 70 grand per year. But then keep going, add on all those extra things because that adds value. It's not just about the base. It's also about plus bonuses, plus holidays, plus paid vacation, plus health, plus free aesthetic treatments at cost, plus free parking. And then always add a 90-day probationary period. You always want to have an out just in case this was a bad hire. You want to be easy to get out of it for both sides. And then I do add additional questions that are important, but not as important as the character. So I do ask, how many years of plastic surgery experience do you have? How many years of high-end sales experience do you have? Have you completed the following level of education? And then I go with at least a bachelor's degree. Now, oftentimes, they won't have plastic surgery experience, but they do have something comparable like cosmetic dentistry or high-end retail experience. I can work with that because that means that they already have that customer experience skill in their head. So they've got that mindset part that it's a high-end, we treat patients with care or customers with care. So they already have that. We can always train on the plastic surgery part. Now, the next thing is to get the word out. And you know what? It depends on your area. Again, Craigslist still works in some areas. Indeed seems to be still the go-to place, but now ZipRecruiter's trying to take over Indeed. Use all of them if you want to. But right for now, I usually stick to Indeed. I also add it to your website. I also add it to your Instagram. That's a great place to go. And then don't forget, ask your own patients. Have some in-house signage. Talk to them when they're visiting. Hey, we're looking for a new coordinator. For sure, ask your vendors. They're the feet on the street for everything you need. And they know everybody and they know everything going on and who's up and who's out and who's, what's going on. So I would always start there. And then in your own meanderings around your community, think about the service providers that take super good care of you when you're either at a local restaurant or a high-end retail store or some kind of service providers you go to. You can always not poach them, but maybe they're ready for a career change. And I guess it is poaching them. So, because the best people are always the employed people. I'll tell you, I know one surgeon who actually poaches his coordinators and his staff from the local Equinox. It's a very high-end health club, and they're very well trained, and he takes them from there. So, just be creative with where you're looking for somebody, because once you understand who you're looking for, now your radar will be up for that, and you will find them in sometimes unlikely places. Now, here's the best part. You are no longer going to get 200 applications come in. You're going to get closer to 50. The way I write the ad, it dramatically decreases. But then it's usually like I get about 50 to 100, and it costs me about, at the most, $200 to do that. But here's the thing. Some of them do not go through the hoops. Not some. Most of them don't go through the hoops. They either don't do the cover letter, don't answer the questions, and nowadays I add another little test. And if they don't fill that out, then they're out. But if they do all of that, then the staff should be calling that applicant to just cover the basics. So they're very clear. This is a local position. They're not going to work virtually. They have to commute every day. So do they have a car? Are they currently working? When are they going to be available? If you happen to have some evenings they have to work or Saturdays, tell them now. Get clear about the pay. Get clear about the benefits. You don't want to even bother if they didn't even read it well enough to know all of that, or you just want to make sure they're clear about the basics. Now, if that goes well, then they do another call with either your manager or some other, key staff person, and that person can get a little deeper. Things like, so what are your career goals? Or what was your favorite job? What was your least favorite job and why? Who was your favorite boss and why? Who was your least favorite boss and why? You're trying to figure out who they like to work for and what characteristics in a boss they need. Just recently, I was hiring a coordinator for a practice for a plastic surgery practice. And the surgeon was just so surprised that the coordinator was so awful, but he hadn't trained her. And when I talked to her, she said, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do or what he expects from me. She was looking for direction from him, and he was waiting for her to just perform. So you have to get really clear on that, you're right. And then other things like, what are your top 3 skills? You're always trying to get them to talk and tell you a lot more. So right now, you're still in the stages of asking a lot of questions and letting them talk. I also love to ask, do you have any questions for me? And when I ask that, and it turns out the only question they have is, how many days off do I get? That's not a good indicator. You don't want somebody that's all they care about. I would rather they ask me a question. So would I be able to get additional training? Like, would I be able to go to some of the medical conferences to learn more because they have these really good business sessions? That's a good question, So if all goes well, I realize nowadays you can't ask anybody anything like how do they look or what they're, you can't ask anybody anything. So here's what I do. I do request a 1-minute video from them. All I ask them to do is turn their cell phone around. Everyone's busy doing selfies all day. They just film a very inopportune 1 minute why I'm great for this, why I'd be a great candidate. And it also shows how tech savvy they are and how confident they are in doing that. If somebody won't do that, that's a deal breaker because you need somebody who will play the game, and try hard and want the job badly. Then you do want to research them online. In today's world, thankfully, we do have social media, the good and the bad of it. So you do want to research people online. And what I often do is I just put their name in and their state and their city, anything I do know, and I hit control or enter. And it's shocking what can come up. They can be pretty crazy on the weekends and you want to know that, or they can just be very, who knows? I mean, there's all, we're people, so who knows? But they might have some crazy off hours habits and you just want to know that up front. Also, things have popped up like, what do you call it? Mugshots. Yes, we had an applicant and she popped up on mugshots.com, and it turns out she was harassing her ex-husband's girlfriend, and she was posting the girlfriend on Craigslist and offering to solicit sex for, like money for sex. I mean, it was bad. So you just want to know that kind of stuff way before you get people into your office. Now, if all goes well, it's time for face-to-face interviews. And this is where they meet with some head people first. And then, like, let's say your office manager, I hope you have an office manager or some key player that you really trust, meet with them first. And then if it goes well with them, those two come to you, and then your office manager introduces you to them. And then okay, they've been through an awful lot already. This is a good candidate. And now it's time for you to, again, reiterate your vision, what you expect from that position. I love for you to just ask them straight out, tell me about yourself. And that's a really open-ended question. Tell me about yourself. That's going to put them on the spot, and they're going to have to think on their feet. And that's what you want. If you have somebody who's confident and has aplomb, and they can answer that question graciously or gracefully, you'll know that they're pretty good in the sales experience, when talking with a patient. So you also want to ask them things like, what was a major obstacle you had to overcome? What's an accomplishment you're most proud of? How do you alleviate stress? What did you think about my website? They better have looked at your website. What would you do? Like, what have you done in the past to grow a practice? And then that same question, what questions do you have for me? And I really hope they have a really good question other than, what time is lunch? Then I would actually have them come back again to meet everybody. One thing I have learned is when you force a new team member on your team, there can be some resistance because they didn't have any say in this subject. So I really would have them come back, maybe even spend a half a day with the team and walk around with each of the positions and just, shadow them, pay them to do that. But that way, everybody has an opportunity to put in their 2 cents. If they got a good feeling or they didn't, you can miss some things that your staff people will catch up with or will catch on. Females especially can sniff out other females really easily. So I would actually get this make this a team effort, and they will be much more open and accommodating to help this person when they come on board, when they've been part of the process. You can even have lunch with them. I find that when you have a meal with somebody, they start to relax more when they're eating. And that's a good idea because they might talk a lot more and start opening up about, things going on in their situation. Maybe they're not stable where they live. Maybe they're not stable in their relationship. It's those kinds of things you're looking for because you don't need the drama. You're looking for a really key player who's grounded in themselves, in their lives, and in their future. And they're looking for a great place to land, which is you, and they're looking for the long term. So the last thing I would do is I would rate their skills, like their sales skills. I would maybe give them a math test because we have a lot of numbers we work with. Find out what their social media skills are, organizational skills, technical skills. Give them some little exercises to do so you can see firsthand, like how they handle Instagram. Definitely the math thing too, because some of them are terrible at math and you can't be when you're in this position. Also, you might think about personality tests. I personally, in my own business, I do have people take the Colby test. It's called KOLBE.com. For $50, you just sign up online for $50. You give them access, you give them a link, have them take the test. It takes about 15 minutes, and then you have the results automatically emailed to you. And here's the point of Colby. It's only 4 factors that they break it down to. There's a fact finder, there's a follow through, there's a quick start, and there's an implementer. And then they explain what all of that is. But for example, somebody like me or you who built their own practice, you're typically a quick start, which means you're really good at starting a project, but terrible at finishing it. That's why you need somebody who's a good follow through. You get it? Or if you have, there's a lot of research involved, you want somebody who's a good fact finder. In your case, as a coordinator, we're looking for a very high score in follow through and a really high score in implementer, because they can't be a quick start start something but not finish it, because we have to get to the finish gate here. So you can do that. DISC is also good, and wealthdynamics.com is also good, and that's for the money mindset. You need to make sure that the person you hire in this position is not afraid of the money. And a lot of coordinators wouldn't dream of spending their hard-earned money on this silly stuff. If that's the case, they're just not right for this position. You need somebody who really understands that this is transformational and it's priceless. And they need a good result, so they want to choose your surgeon to get that transformation. They need to think like that versus it's $15,000, and they can't even say it, So please, they've got to have the right money mindset. Okay, if all that goes well, you want to call their references. Now, by the way, here's our tip. Your staff should be calling the references that they list on their references. However, if they have listed another plastic surgeon in the area, I think surgeon to surgeon, you should give them a call and say, I'm thinking about hiring them. Can you just give me a heads up? And oftentimes they will be honest with you and say, here were the pros, here were the cons. And then you take it with a grain of salt. You never know, because it could be the surgeon, it could be them, just wasn't a good fit. But it is nice for you to get as much intel as you can beforehand. If you feel good about this, if your staff feels good, if all is good, you want to give them an employment offer letter, but literally state the same details that you did in the ad in this letter, and then you both sign it. That means you are setting the expectations for both of you for exactly who you're looking for, how you want them to be, what you expect from them, and the results you're wanting. That way there can be no confusion down the road where they say, I didn't know that's what you wanted. Well, yes, you do, because it's in writing. So the whole point is to hire slow, fire fast. If you did do a bad hire, just take care of it and make it go away. You do need to be patient. This process takes a while. And seriously, if you don't want to hassle with this, let me find the perfect coordinator for you. I've got this down. The details are at my website. It's catherinemaley.com. It's under services. And but you can certainly give it a shot on your own too. But even if you use another service, they're usually like 3 times more expensive than I am, and they don't understand this industry at all. So I hope this was helpful to you. I'd love for you to subscribe to Beauty in the Biz so we can grow this audience and make sure I'm helping as many as I can. If you can please share this with your staff and your other colleagues. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Catherine Maley, MBA. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will talk to you soon.
We hope you found valuable insight on this episode of Beauty in the Biz. For more episodes, tools, and Catherine's free book, visit www.catherinemaley.com. That's www.catherinemaley.com. And be sure to subscribe to get the latest practice building strategies delivered to you. And don't forget to share this Beauty in the Biz podcast with your staff and colleagues.